and welcome back to the A Traveling Knitter channel. My name is Steph and I am podcasting, talking to you from Columbus, Ohio, and this is my 2023 crafting goals video. I have several goals in 2023 that span multiple crafts, as well as being very specific versus being very open-ended. I'll jump a bit back and forth between what they are, and hopefully you find this entertaining or inspiring. I love listening to other people's goals. I love like a challenge style goal. So that's what I'm kind of trying to incorporate into my life in 2023. To help me, I bought a bullet journal. This is not my first bullet journal. This is my second bullet journal. And my first one I am still using. I am refreshing it for the fourth time. I think the fourth time is a charm, right? This is an Archer and Olive 8x8. I really wanted an 8x8 style for my crafting journal, and I think this is like the Traveler one. I love it. It's got a globe, it's got a suitcase, it's kind of vintagey. I will say I like the cloth bound better than this like plasticky thing, but it's okay. Archer and Olives, they come with a thing like that, and there is a pen tab, which I pretty much never use, and there are two ribbons. What I've done is I've made a intro page, and then I have started with some specific goals and then what January looks like. The reason why I didn't film this video earlier is one of my 2022 things, or to start 2023, was having a count of every single skein of yarn that I own. And I know I have a lot. I knew I had a lot, but the number honestly is a bit more shocking than I thought it would be. I'm not going to give you the number because I feel like the internet is full of rude, obnoxious people, and I don't need that in my life. I am aware that I have a lot of yarn. This is not all of my yarn. This is my hand-dyed yarn. I've got, I don't know if you can see that, but there are, what are these, 32 gallon, 64 gallon? They're the big ones. And that's where my acrylic yarn is. So I have a number. I am aware of that number. I wrote down every single skein of yarn that I have, other than what I'm currently using. So everything that was in my previous video of active whips, I'm not counting that. Otherwise, it's on the spreadsheet. So my goal was to document all of my yarn, and going into that, really be mindful about the yarn I purchase. I will not be buying yarn unless there is a project assigned to it, and a project that I genuinely love. I love a lot of things, and quite often I'll think, oh, you know, I love this skein of yarn, I'll definitely make socks. False. I need to know the exact socks that I am going to make, because it is a lot of yarn. So I am going to be mindful of what I purchase, and I do not want to buy more. I do not want to bring more yarn in than what goes out. So I guess that's kind of two goals. More going than coming in. Another goal that I've had before, and I genuinely love doing this, is more charity knitting. I consistency. I consistently will knit hats, and then I donate those hats at the end of the year or whenever. When I lived in Dayton, a person in my knitting group, she donated hats to children. There was like a hat drive that she participated in, so I donated hats to that. I have also donated hats and scarves to Stars. It is I think local. I'm not sure if it's national, but at least my local chapter, it is for homeless teens and teen runaways. So it's geared towards teenagers. And I donated hats and scarves to that 2 years ago. And then in 2022, I donated hats to another hat drive that was happening at my local yarn store. I love the Hats Not Hate, but blue is my least favorite color. Like, if you look at my wall of yarn, you're not gonna find a lot of blue. Okay, I'm seeing this right here, but this is a jewel tone blue, and that's about the only blue. This is actually a green. Do I even see blue just like looking? I found one skein of blue that you can't see that's down here, but even that is like a teal, right? That's a teal. Here's a blue. But this is for my brothers or my dad for socks, right? It's not for me. They both love blue. This has blue in it, but it also has red, right? Like, what I'm getting at is I don't have a lot of blue, so I can't really do the Hats for Hate thing, because I'm not going to just buy blue yarn. I'm going to use from my stash. So if anyone has suggestions of places that need hats and scarves, I'll totally take that. There's definitely places in Columbus. I don't donate them to Goodwill or Salvation Army, because like that's not what that's kind of for. I wanted to go to somebody who actually needs a hat, who needs a scarf. So I want to continue to do more charity knitting, donation knitting, especially. I just really like knitting hats. I find it really fun. They're very quick, and I only have one head. I don't need that many hats. So it's a good way to get through, especially my acrylic yarn or my part acrylic. So that is another goal. I would love to do at least one hat a month. That's very doable, I think. So another goal, but ultimately I want to just at least have some hats to donate. Another goal of mine is to be mindful, track my current WIPs. I want to be very upfront, in your face to myself about what I am working on. I don't want lingering WIPs. I want everything to be current, because I find that when I lose steam, and then it's years before I touch it. But I don't like quitting. I'm a completionist. It like hurts me when I don't finish something, and then I get, worked up about it. Not really, like, it's all internal, worked up internally. Like, I'm disappointed with myself, and it's this, yes, I'm gonna finish it. Of course I'm gonna finish it. I still love it. Of course I still love it. But it's almost like I don't still love it. I love the idea of finishing the thing. Does that make sense at all? I knit to knit. There are things that I have knit that I have not worn. There are things that I have knit that I have never woven in the ends. They've been in a basket for over a year. And it's okay. I'm not upset about it, because I love the act of knitting it. I love the items, but I almost love knitting it more, which is very interesting. be that as it may. That is another goal. I have a basket right here with things that I need to weave the ends in. I have my birds of a feather. I finished that. Did I finish that 2 years ago? It is in here. I've never bothered to weave the ends in. Also, I didn't love knitting this project. It's probably my least favorite project that I've made. That's a shawl, because it was just a pain in the butt. Anyway, that is a goal. I need to weave in these ends, and I need to not have a basket of projects that I just leave for whenever I feel like weaving in the ends, because spoiler alert, that's never. Sometimes if my mom visits or my friend has nothing to knit, they'll weave my ends in for me. I hate it. I don't like doing it. So a goal, weave in those ends, but then not keep a pile of things that I need to weave ends in, because I know myself. They're just gonna sit there because I have no problem with that. Doesn't bother me. Another very specific goal is I have sweater quantities of yarn that I want to make the sweaters. I've really gotten into test knitting, and I find that when I test knit, then I'm super on a deadline, and then I never make the things that I've been wanting to make. I kind of just keep going with test knitting. So I made a little collage in here of the sweaters I want to make or garments I want to make. And I do have yarn for everything. This one, I can't remember the yarn. I bought a Cumulus, but I might have purchased 2 sets and not decided which yarn I wanted to use. And then for the Fluff Nugget, I have several options. So I just need to narrow down what it is that I want to do with these. So you can kind of see I bought yarn for these projects specifically. Other than this one, I bought the yarn and then I went digging for a pattern. So I bought a kit for this one. I purchased yarn specifically for this. Same with this. It's gorgeous. This is like a poppy color. This one I also, it's like almost like a neon-y orange. This is white. So these are my garment goals, which would be amazing. I've never made that many garments, but basically the pandemic has really got me inspired to just make more garments. I love it. And then of course, another goal is just to stay organized, track what I'm knitting, make a cute project page. I find that I don't love Ravelry as much for tracking my own projects, which is a shame because I use that feature so often with other people. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna love the creativity of doing it in this, and then I can just write that information down in Ravelry, track the needles, track the yarn, that sort of thing. So every month I do want to evaluate where I'm at, and so I'm going to do something to this effect. Scoot up a little bit. So I'm going to track all of my outstanding WIPs, and that is going to be knitting, sewing, cross stitch, any fibery related projects. How many skeins of yarn I use. I'm not going to do grams. I'm not going to do weight or yards. I'm going to do actual skeins because I think that's just going to be simpler. And if I have, leftover bits, it's going to be out. So that'll be here. I am going to keep track of my total. Like I said, I'm not going to share that. Maybe I'll share it at some point, but I'm not sharing it in this video because I don't need the negative comments about how excessive I am, because I know it's going to happen. Anyway, then I've got purchased. So I'm going to keep track of any yarn that I purchase. And I'm a little iffy on this one because I know with pre-ordering, I spend the money in this month, but then it won't appear for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever. So I'm not 100% sure. I might do purchased and then do like a little asterisk if I received it that month or whatever. And then Wish is just going to keep track of any patterns that I see come out, or not really patterns because I do impulse buy patterns, but I don't feel as bad because the price point is lower, and you know, I want to support independent designers and what have you. But basically wish list of anything that I see that I want, just to keep track and maybe just sit on that thought to, you know, do I actually really want it? Do I need it? Yeah, so put that. And purchase will, I think I'll also include any magazines or knitting books or tools that I add in. I should keep track of my pattern purchases because I do buy a lot of patterns on Ravelry. I know I'm never gonna knit all of them, but I buy them to support because, you know, I would love to be an independent designer. There are so many things I would love to do with my life. And I know I can not achieve most of them, to be honest, because I also like money, and I have a lifestyle that I would like to maintain, and you know, 40K a year doesn't cut it. So anyway, I should just keep track of those individual patterns because it does add up, you know? So I will have this style of page. I think it turned out really cute. I'm not going to be super organized with, okay, I always need to do this page in this order, because I was thinking of like writing out every single goal, but who knows? I was also kind of thinking of tracking specific yarns that I want to try. But if the goal is to not purchase yarn without a purpose, maybe I don't need that list, but also, you know, it could inspire me. So I haven't, you know, toying with that idea. But what is going to happen is essentially every page, I haven't finished anything yet this year, so they're all blank, but every page I'm going to have a picture of the finished object, or, you know, a picture that I like of that object. The yarn I use, just information about it in a scrapbooky style. And I think that's going to inspire me to just take the notes and, you know, just another artistic, creative outlet. I'm very excited for this. I've purchased some stickers. I have a bag with all of my journaling things in it, so I'm very much looking forward to that. I am also doing a reading journal. That's the one that I've tried to do 3 other years, and I always lose steam, but I'm feeling more inspired this year than I have ever before. So that one's going strong. I think it's just that I found a way that I want to do that. And one of my last goals is sewing related. I want to sew a project every month because the way to get better is just doing the thing. So it's already the middle of January. I'm kind of not feeling like jumping into, you know, a garment. So I'll probably make a bag. I would love to I do have the pattern for the Fringe Supply Co. Fringe field bag, and I have made one, and it turned out pretty well. And I do have hardware for it. I ended up buying a specific kit. It didn't arrive in time, so then I bought a bunch of stuff for it. So I would love to make another one, and I do want to make one for my mom. And I have quite a collection of like canvas-y fabric to do that. So I feel like that will be the January project. And then the February project will be the sweatshirt from Doe and Deer called Neige. Since I'm not as confident with sewing, I was hoping to find like a sew along or something, but this is not very popular There's another sweater pattern by Doe & Deer that is all over YouTube and many projects on Instagram, but this one, not so much. I struggled. So the store that I bought it from, they said it's relatively simple. It's not very difficult. I do have fabric. I bought it for my birthday last year. Didn't make it. It's really cool with the sleeves. And there are two different ways to make it. You have this like funnel neck and then just a normal neck. And I think other than that, it's the same, right? Oh no, one is cropped and then one has the little cuffs. So I bought fabric to make the cuff on the sleeve. I think it'd be fun to do both the funnel and the cuff, and haven't decided if I want to do cropped or not. Maybe I'll make two of these. I feel like with sewing, making multiple versions is going to be very helpful for me. It is also how I learned to knit. I knit the same thing over and over and over and over. And for accessories, I still do that. I knit accessories multiple times, even today. I find that very helpful. You are familiar with it and you can really see yourself improving. So maybe I'll do this twice. So yeah, this I think is going to be my February project. I've already prepped the fabric. You know, I just need to look at the pattern, cut the pieces out. How many pieces are there? Doesn't say. Oh, there's an instruction booklet. That's helpful. Ha! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, where's 6? So one version does not have you use 6. So there's either 7 or 8 pieces. That's doable, right? I jumped right into making a Halloween costume 2 years ago, and there was like 30 pieces, and I didn't finish it because I just struggled with the collar. I can't figure the collar. So then I started like sewing completely out of order. So I'm like officially on step like 8, but I've already done like step 10 through 17, and I just haven't done step 8 because I don't understand it. And there's no sew alongs with it. And yeah, so I'm kind of stuck there, which I'm hoping that the more I sew, the better I will get and I will understand things more. So that is a huge goal this year, is to sew more. And to sew more, I have to set a goal, structure it, and that is sew at least one thing a month. And those are essentially my goals for 2023. It's a lot of tracking and managing and being a little bit more creative with the journal, and of course doing some sewing. I hope that wasn't too rambly, and hopefully it was sort of structured but not too structured. I feel like New Year's goals and resolutions have really started getting a bad rap. I never set resolutions. I just call them goals because I think it's like it doesn't seem so new. You know, you have goals for everything, right? So that's how I like to go into the new year. I always feel really energized and inspired to do all of these things, and I think a lot of people do, and the goal and the hope is that you stay inspired and put in the work to actually do said goals. So those are all of my crafting related goals, and if you are interested in seeing how I fill this out, like, let me know. My plan wasn't to do flip throughs on this or on my reading journal, but if that is something that you're interested in, let me know. I might share pictures or share the pages on Instagram. Maybe I'll do a reel. I'm not really sure. It kind of just depends on interest. But that is that. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, definitely give it a thumbs up. That always helps, just as every single YouTuber says. It does make our day. We appreciate it. We love it. It makes us feel good. And it does help the video go out to more people and, all the like. So yeah, thank you so much. And I will see you in the next video, which will be the January 2023 episode 1 episode where I run through all of the things that I've finished, made. It's a knitting podcast. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.